Hello and welcome to the Action Coach Business Spotlight. I'm John Boggis, and with my wife Lorna McAteer, we run Action Coach Cambridge, helping business owners across the Cambridge region. And with me today, I'm delighted to have Rick Parisi. Rick is the chairman of the Paragon Land and Estates Group. Good morning, Rick.
Hi. Yes, pleased to be here.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rick. Now, so to kick things off and to give us a little bit of background, would you tell us about your business, Rick?
So it's actually a group of businesses. The main focus really is Cambridge Innovation Parks. Okay. So we own Cambridge Innovation Park North, and then we have land for developing west and south. So 27 acres in all around Cambridge, which we've been working on for quite some years. So the north side I bought from the MOD. It was actually the admin block for the MOD area, which they're now developing down there, the barracks. So I bought that back into 2012. Opened it as a business centre. It's now Cambridge Innovation Park North, and so we've also got land. So land banks, more land for West and South Cambridge. So the idea is to have a sort of a group of 3 parks, which would be have slightly different focuses, but they'd all be available for everybody. Everybody on every park can use the facilities on all of the parks.
So if you're in south of Cambridge, you can, but you're actually based north, you can use the facilities in the south park as well.
I mean, it's a big project.
Yeah.
But now looking to actually pass it on to someone with deeper pockets, because we're talking one heck of a lot of money. We have done some development at north. So we built Blenheim House, which is the second building on the site. We've got planning permission for another 3 buildings on that site, plus a multi-storey car park, and that will integrate with all the transport system, Cambridge transport system, and so on. We're going through planning on west and possibly on south as well, but then we will need to pass it on to companies got far more far deeper pockets than we have. It's fairly substantial. So that's the main part of the business. That actually grew out of Paragon Land and Estates Limited, which is essentially commercial property, really. Some nosy commercial property.
Okay. And how long have you been going for, Rick?
Quite a few years. Yeah. The other part of the business is actually self-storage. We do storage, I'm a self-storage in Littleport, so I'm a 50% owner of that business as well.
Okay. And how many staff do you have? Just to give us a picture of kind of.
Not that many. Okay. Only about a dozen. Yeah. Yeah, we run very lean, and that's the way I like it. We use a lot of consultants, and we put quite a bit out, but there's a fair core of stuff that really needs to be done in-house.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have used agents, but they never really perform that well. So we manage the sites ourselves. We do most of the overall management ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And was this what you always wanted to do growing up, Rick? Were you always interested in development and property?
No, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. Yeah. So I had no guidance when I left school. I ended up actually as a mechanical engineer, a tool maker.
Oh wow!
Which is not what I wanted to do. It happened to be there. So I did that and then realised actually this is not really that great. So no, I went self-employed in 1983, I think, 40 years ago. So, yeah, I left engineering and just decided that I'd start a printing company. So it was quite a learning curve. I knew nothing at all about printing, and I knew nothing at all about running a business.
So, yeah, that is a learning curve. Yeah,
it's a win. It survived 5 years, and then I sold it.
yeah.
It never made any money, but it taught me a lot. So yes, it's been a sort of a little bit of a convoluted career path. So once I sold that, I thought, okay, well, I'm an engineer and I know about printing machinery, so I started dealing printing machinery.
Okay.
That turned into actually a very successful export business. So that ran from around about 1989 to 2002. That did very well. Out of that grew the self-storage business.
Yeah.
Because I'm exporting machinery, people wanted somewhere to put the machinery, before it was exported. So we started hiring them shipping containers for storage, and that grew into Armour Store Limited, which now has 730 units. So it's pretty substantial.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
It grew a lot, yeah. So the money that was made out of the exporting business, I used that to start commercial property business. So buying mostly retail.
Yeah.
So I built up a portfolio of retail, and then say 2012, I was offered what is now Cambridge Innovation Park, and long story short, bought it, opened it as a business centre, realised that actually Innovation Park was a far better idea, so transformed it into that, and I mean, that's still running now, obviously, and that's we've now got something like about 60 tenants on site at Cambridge Innovation Park. Everything from startups right through to PLCs, Kia Construction. There's Velocics, which is a subsidiary of Sony, there's a subsidiary of Samsung, NHS, some, ITV, some pretty major organisations on site, and it runs all the way through. So, I mean, it's great because we mix sort of startups and small businesses through to PLCs and sort of major companies. So there's quite a lot of collaboration, which is rather nice. And so we built an environment where you can come in with a laptop tucked under your arm as a starting point, and then grow your business. We have an incubator there, so grow the business, and then you can gradually scale up to major size business. So,
sounds like a fantastic environment. Whether you're a big business or whether actually you're just starting out, because the amount of different businesses there, fantastic, Rick. Yeah,
to have them all integrated on one site, is quite good, because obviously the small ones learn from the big ones, and the big ones can cherry pick stuff from the small ones as well. So it's works well. The majority of the business on there are tech.
Okay.
So you've got one that does satellites. There's another one that they scan the ground using tiny fluctuations in gravitational pull, and actually provide like a scan, shows what's under the ground. There's some quite cutting edge technology going on down there.
It sounds really interesting. So you've had a really good varied career, Rick. So what would you say has been the biggest issue that you've had to overcome during that time?
There's always loads of issues. So I think probably the biggest one that I've had to overcome would be from becoming a sort of a hands-on business owner to go through to sort of CEO, chairman, shareholder. There's always a temptation to get your hands dirty and do it yourself. And people never do things quite the way you want it done. That I think would be that's been my biggest challenge, letting go really hard.
Yeah, do you know what? It's really common. I work with several business owners that I'm taking through exactly that at the moment, and you're right. It is a challenge. It's a big mindset change to actually go through.
It is, yeah, most definitely.
So, what would you say would be the kind of the biggest learnings that you've picked up, both in business and actually in life, Rick?
In life, that's really simple. I think living.
Yeah.
Spend a lot of time with my head down, really, spending every waking hour working and more besides. And suddenly realised, hang on, more to life than this. So, yeah, I now spend quite a bit of time abroad.
Yeah.
So doing what I want, really, rather than what I have to do.
Yeah.
So that's life. In business, so I left school. I had no appreciable qualification, a few CSEs. That was it, really. After I left school, I thought, you idiot, And so, yeah, I devoted a lot of time going to college, learning, well, anything and everything, and doing massive catch up, really, because I was stuck in a job I didn't really like, I hated. Wanted to do something different, and it's okay, what do you do? And that was learning. So I spent a lot of time at college, and just learning everything I possibly can, really. And that was sort of a good grounding. I've carried on learning ever since, really. So I'm always learning something. There's always something new that I want to know about.
Yeah, it's a great lesson for everybody. Kind of the learning continues. Doesn't matter how long you've been in business, there's still loads to learn. Right?
There's always plenty to learn, but perhaps you need to be a bit selective.
Yes.
But I did a lot of, I learned science, maths, engineering, that sort of stuff, and that's helped me massively. It helps you just to understand what goes on, really.
Yeah. And who would be the first person that would come to mind when you think of success, and why would that be?
Well, carrying on from the learning thing, I've been very, very interested in the careers of all the big successful business people. Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Warren Buffett, Dyson. I've read a lot of books. I wouldn't say any one particularly comes to mind, but it's whole group, really. I've watched a lot of videos, so read a lot of books, got a lot of inspiration from them, and that I think has helped me massively. The one thing I will say is that it wasn't actually a book, but a CD that someone gave me, which was called Good to Great.
Okay.
And that was absolutely fascinating. I think that has been the sort of pinnacle of everything I've read, I think, or everything I've read and seen. That was massive. I would certainly recommend anybody to listen to that, because it was really, really inspiring.
Fantastic. And what does the future look like for you, and what are the kind of the main challenges that you see as you move the business forward?
So we're mostly in the property sector, and I think that has pretty much passed its best, I'm sad to say. I started moving the property at scale in about the year 2000. Since then, I'm afraid it's been on the slide, really. So taxes, for instance, I think stamp duty was like 1% on commercial property. It's now 4 or 5%. Then there's things like property maintenance development. I mean, the costs of doing maintenance now are massively, massively more than they ever were before as a percentage.
Yeah. Okay.
Just simply because you've got all the rules and regulations that come in to do with health and safety and all the additional employment costs and everything else. So the cost has just gone up massively, even to the point now where development costs, it's got to the point now where I don't know why people develop, to be quite honest. It's particularly up north.
Okay.
I mean, to build a good quality building now, commercial building, you're probably looking at £400 or £500 a square foot. You can go to an auction and buy them for ridiculously small amounts of money,
okay.
50 quid a square foot if you go up north. Now, to try and make a business out of doing that is really difficult. Okay, you can buy a property for 50 quid a square foot, but how are you going to develop it? Because the development or the work you have to do on it is massive. I learned the lesson there with the property I bought in was Hinckley, Leicestershire.
Yeah.
All this massive amount of space, 4,000 square feet of space, I think, above the shops. I thought, great, convert it to flats. So I did quite a lot of work on it. And okay, what are they worth when they're converted? £80 a square foot. What's it going to cost to convert them? Bearing in mind you've got all the utilities and the walls and the ceiling and the floor and the land and everything else. Yeah. £80 a square foot, no profit.
Okay, yeah.
So that is a huge challenge now. And for that reason, I've been sort of winding down the property side of things.
Okay. I mean, do you have a favourite property that you've developed, Rick, over the years?
Well, the favourite one would be Cambridge Innovation Park,
okay,
the north site. That was bought as a derelict building, and I mean, 45,000 square feet. It was a big, big building.
Yeah.
And, it was a beautiful building, but it was derelict. Developing that and bringing that back online, and as I say, what that site now does is quite amazing, considering what it was when I bought it. And I must admit, it was a real stretch. It was a bit frightening, really, finding that and then realising, wow, it was risky, but it all worked out for the best. So that's the main thing.
Yeah, and is one of the absolutely iconic places within the Cambridge business community. So it's something to be super proud of.
Yeah, I'm quite pleased with the way that's all turned out. But now, as I say, it's time to move on. So we're looking to divest.
Yeah,
probably within about a year or maybe a bit more than that, depending on the market, really, and then move on to something different.
Okay. And Rick, looking back, what would be perhaps the best piece of advice you could give to the 18-year-old you?
I think a big slap on the head to start with. I would say planning. Nothing was ever planned. I left school, I had no idea what I wanted to do, ended up in a trade I didn't like. And then, I followed a massively haphazard path to get to where I am now. That could have been a damn sight shorter.
Yeah.
In saying that, the various sort of components, if you like, were all quite important to get from one stage to the other. So each step was an enabler.
Yeah.
And it was the thing I never did. I never planned. Everything was completely haphazard, and that's not a great way to plan a career at all. The second
very
thing
common, though.
Sorry?
Very common.
Yeah.
way of playing.
I think the second thing is find a mentor.
Yeah.
So I had opportunities there. You know, my dad's brother was a very, very successful businessman. I could have sought a career with him, didn't, and that was big mistake.
Yeah.
So yeah, a mentor, I think, quite important. If you can get someone to you know, to teach you what they've learned and listen, then you know, that's about the best thing I think you could possibly do.
Yeah, we find that a lot with the people we work with as well. So we help them in that respect. So just as we finish, is there anything else that you would like to share about Paragon Land and Estates? Anything that you know you're working on, or anything you know you said you're looking to divest? Is there anybody in particular you would be interested to speak to when this goes out, Rick?
But the divestment, as I said before, is going to be to an organisation that's got some very, very deep pockets. Okay. We've got a fair bit of interest now, but I mean, you know, we're talking a lot of money. So it's going to be a blue chip. We've got a number of them lined up. It's just in a case of if you're divesting a business, then you have to tick all the boxes, and we're in the process of doing that. So I mean, it will sell. There's no doubt about that. I just want to pass it on to someone that's going to continue, you know, what I've started, and to take it to the next level. Yeah. But we're setting the scene for them to do that right the way through. We do have other properties which we're divesting as well, which are smaller lot sizes, so they'll probably go out via auction, I guess. Okay. So we've been getting out of the retail sector, because I think that's fairly obvious. The reasons are obvious. Sadly, there's a lot of property out there which I look at longingly and think, okay, what could I do with that? And it's actually quite hard work to find, you know, something for these big empty properties. It's quite sad the way things have gone, really. I know that shopping centres are being converted into sort of effectively business centres, which is not a bad idea. You know, with land banks, which the land banking that we have around Cambridge is a bit too valuable to use for self-storage, but certainly the self-storage business has gone well. So there's a consideration to open other sites. Big problem is actually finding the right locations, freehold land, and so on. And then also, I'm talking to various small businesses with consideration that we may invest in them. So if they've got something a bit special, we'd certainly consider, you know, investing in maybe not so much startups, but you know, businesses that have started up and just got over that first hurdle, but then sort of need expertise and cash sort of to take them forward. So you know, we're talking to a few smaller companies, which I think we may be looking to do as well.
Very exciting. Is there any particular type of company you'd be especially interested in working with, Rick?
No, not really. But it's got to be one that's got a something special. So he's not going to be you know, straightforward. You know, I don't know. I'm opening a shop and I'd like you to invest in it. It's got to be something that's a bit special. So it's got to have, you know, perhaps a patent or a particular place in the market, which is say unique, but certainly got a jump on the market. Something a bit special.
Yeah. Okay. And if people who are watching this are interested in getting in touch with you, if they have a great idea, for example, what's the best way for them to get hold of you, Rick? How would you like them to approach it?
I think it's probably best to go to our team via the website. So that's paragon.land, paragon.land.
Fantastic. Well, Rick, thank you so much for your time. That was absolutely fascinating. And we really appreciate you spending the time. That was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, no problem at all. Cheers, John.